Bitcoin just got a significant bounce from its most recent low, and we are now back above $116,000. But that's not what I want to talk about in today's video. Today, I want to talk about Ethereum, because while everyone was bearish, I remained bullish. I'm not the type of guy to tell you, I told you so, but I told you so. We'll go over what just happened, why did we get this pivot, and what is going on in the market, as well as how I'm navigating my most recent trades. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So first things first, taking a look at Bitcoin, we are about to get a massive 4-hour candle close. And you can see that we got the bounce exactly at the previous lows, which was outlined in some of my videos as a key pivot point. As you can see here, I was talking about Bitcoin making a higher low to pivot upwards, and then of course to get some of that Ethereum upwards movement, which we'll get into. But looking at Bitcoin right now, you can see that on this wick here, we actually went just below this low by a few $100s, shaking a lot of traders out. Now, I know a ton of people that were calling for much lower Bitcoin valuations, 110, sub 110, but I remain bullish specifically on ETH, as I anticipate a brand new all-time high. Now, if you've been watching me on the channel, you know that I've covered the Ethereum price action quite closely over the past few weeks, anticipating an all-time high if Bitcoin behaves. Well, over the past few days, Bitcoin was not behaving. However, with this pump, we are now well in the green in our Ethereum trade. As you can see down here, the ROI is around 200%. We realized around $27,000 in profit, and we're now sitting right around 60K in unrealized profits. Now, I documented all of this within my free Telegram community. Here was the market update that I gave last night. Technically, literally by $100, this would be a higher low for Bitcoin if we continue to move up from here. I'm torn because while I think lower levels would be attractive for a bid, mainly looking for ETH longs due to strength, the majority of Twitter is calling for below $110,000. And what do we know when the majority calls for something? They are usually wrong. This is why I think being correct directionally is more important than getting the absolute perfect entry, as you can scale in and out of positions. It would be classic Bitcoin behavior if we just front ran the lows that everyone was expecting. Now, everyone was expecting $110,000. This is what I said. I want to see us reclaim $115,000 for sustained upside, and I don't think the risk to reward is there for shorting Bitcoin at the moment. Now, we talked about this in my previous videos. The risk to reward was not there for shorting Bitcoin while we were still in this range. Stocks have also been down for 5 consecutive days going into this Jackson Hole-Powell speech tomorrow, so mean reversion is likely at some point. Let's see how it plays out. I will keep you updated on new positions. And shortly after, I entered an Ethereum long position. I just started scaling back into an Ethereum position in preparation for if this is the Bitcoin low. It's a good risk to reward here, and it would catch most people off guard. Ethereum is still strong and should bounce much harder out of this dump. Average entry, $4,239. And of course, you can see the outcome. We saw a massive pump today with this Jackson Hole event, mainly because Fed Chair Jerome Powell came off a little bit more dovish than most people were expecting. Now, the odds are we will be getting rate cuts in September. These odds actually dropped down to 70% over the past few days as market participants continue to sell off a lot of their crypto assets and a lot of their stocks. But you can see right here, we got a crazy trade, and I'm so happy for all of you that are printed within the community. By the way, if you want to join my community, remember you do have the first link in my description down below. DM me the word premium on Telegram, and I would be happy to onboard you in there for free. The way it works is I just need you to sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links. For example, if you're already trading on Bluffin, we can get you into that group quite easily. Message me the word premium and I'd be happy to onboard you. Same thing with Weeks and same thing with BTCC. I want to help out as many people as possible. And so the way I do this is I go ahead and share my own personal trade setups. The thing is, anyone can come on YouTube and talk about whatever they want, but I back up everything that I say with real money. So if you'd like to follow my trades, remember that's the first link in my description down below. Now, enough of the shilling. So why did I think that ETH would pump out of this much more than Bitcoin? Well, it was quite simple. Looking at the ETH Bitcoin chart, you can see that we continue to have massive uptrend. And if we actually take a look at the price action on the US dollar, you can see here that the low set for ETH was right around $4,066. We never managed to come back down and test those lows, showing continued strength for ETH. Meanwhile, if we go to the Bitcoin price action, you can see here that the lows previously were set right around $112,000. Then we had another big wick down to this level, which fueled us much, much higher. So what was the summary of this Jackson Hole event? Fed Chair Jerome Powell suggests current conditions may warrant interest rate cuts. And with a little bit more detail, what he actually said is the risks of unemployment is rising. Powell also said that his base case is that the tariff impact on inflation will be short-lived. He's always talked about the potential impacts of the tariffs on inflation, and to continue his base case, he says that the balance of risks may warrant policy adjustment. In other words, rate cuts. So the odds spiked after this, and of course, so did the market. As you can see, the stock market had multiple days of red consecutive, mean reversion was expected, and then we got a massive pump on our way to almost brand new all-time highs. Now, what am I eyeing here? I have always said that I'm expecting Ethereum to make a new all-time high before we get some kind of potential correction in September, because seasonality would suggest that September is indeed not the best month for Bitcoin. As you can see, every post-halving year for September ended up being red. So I am expecting still some more correction to come. However, my base case before this correction was that Ethereum would likely be putting in a brand new all-time high. Now, this is a pretty interesting pivot point. We got above this level over here, and now we're currently facing a little bit of resistance right around the $4,650 level. That being said, once this breaks, in my opinion, it would not surprise me if over the weekend or even next week at this rate, Ethereum makes a brand new all-time high. And if you want more insight into what I said in my community, I actually closed around 20% of my position. However, I will be holding the rest of my Ethereum long position for above $4,800 and then for the all-time high. I like to take profits along the way. Remember, if you want to join me, first link in the description down below. And also, if you want to trade on any crypto exchanges, I have Bluffin, I have Weeks, and I also have BTCC. This current trade that I'm in is on Weeks. Very solid exchange. I've been using them for quite some time, and my go-to exchange is typically Bluffin. So if you want to sign up, make sure to do so with the links in the description down below. Now, what else is there? Well, as this came out, Canada is to remove retaliatory tariffs on many US products, Bloomberg reports. Now, this is a goodwill thing. I don't know what it will actually give them, but hopefully we can see that the tariffs imposed on Canada can get reduced by the US. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you do know that I am Canadian. Now, liquidation heat map. This is interesting because this hasn't been refreshed since yesterday, and I told you there was a ton of liquidity to the upside over this past week, and honestly, I did not think that all of these shorts would be getting away with it. Now, did we grab all of that liquidity and then it's time to come back down? I'm not so sure. The thing is, typically, when you get this kind of impulsive move, there is continuation. And as I said in my previous videos, which I can reference here, we pointed out this double bottom, and I was saying that Bitcoin would likely be moving higher. And also, here's what I had to say about liquidity. His liquidation map suggests exactly the same. Trust me when I say, when everyone is going short, you do not want to be going short. Same thing for Ethereum. When everyone is going short, you do not want to be going short. I saw too many people on the timeline way too bearish. And in line with what I talked about in my previous videos, at this point in time, we don't need Bitcoin to make a brand new all-time high for Ethereum to make a brand new all-time high. Right now, if we were to just consolidate here and Bitcoin stays above $116,000, those are good enough environments for ETH to move much, much higher, as we've seen with its most recent outperformance. Here you can see that on the day, ETH is up about 10%, Bitcoin is up about 4%. This just continues, and I am expecting Ethereum to put in a brand new all-time high. And that sums up today's quick video. Obviously, nothing that I talk about on this channel is financial advice, but if you are using some of my insights to trade, I hope that you have been making profits. This has been a very profitable period lately, and again, if you want to join me, you have the links in the description down below, but ultimately, I'm just here to provide you as much value as I possibly can, backing up everything that I talk about with my own money. Now let's see that Ethereum all-time high. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Have a lovely weekend, and I will be seeing you in tomorrow's video.